Huh. Welcome back to another live stream. How is everyone doing? I think I forgot to mute my mic earlier. Hopefully nobody heard anything you're not supposed to hear. That's why when I went live, I thought I unmuted the mic, but I actually muted the mic. I have to unmute it again. Okay, let me know if you guys can see this feed okay. The video is streaming fine, or if there's any problem with audio, if there's any echo or distortion, any problem, let me know early so I can fix whatever problem there is before we go on further. Or I could be just talking to myself now, right? If I am, please help me. Let me know, right? And while I wait for some feedback, let me drink some coffee. Coffee first, always. Coffee's life. Thanks, entry all. I appreciate that. Let's wait for one or two more feedback just to be safe. We've got one feedback already from Entric. Thanks for that. Right. Well, tonight's topic is gonna be just casual, it's just chit chat and everything. So yeah. Alright, we've got a lot of feedback already. Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate that. Hello, Robin and all. Video good, sound now good too. Thank you so much, Chris. Alright, Jer says, good evening, Robin. Good evening to you too, Jer. How are you? Hey, Entric. How are you? Very good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Niklas. Good to see you here. Thanks, Alex, for joining the stream. Nice to see you, Alex. Wow, Kunal? No, hello Robin, or hi, good evening, or hi, hope you're well. Straight to the point, Kunal. Well, sure, let's get to the point. The small sensor should be treated as a positive. Clearly, they could release a fixed lens PanF to compete in the compact camera market, but they are going the adventure route stubbornly. I don't think anyone says the small sensor is not a positive. I don't think anyone worded it as like, oh, because the camera has a small sensor, it is bad. I don't think that's how it's been said. But the truth is the truth, right? We can't deny physics. And the truth is, if your sensor is smaller, in comparison to a larger sensor format, you will lose out in terms of certain things like dynamic range and high ISO performance. It is just fact. And I'm not saying that the small sensor is bad. I am using Micro Four Thirds. I'm perfectly happy with it. So if you lead with that, the small sensor should be treated as a positive. I don't think that's going to end well because I don't see anything wrong with small sensor in the first place. I don't think anyone says it's a negative in the first place. But I agree with you, they do need to look into the possibility of making compact cameras if they can. I don't know why they are not making it. I think there's a reason why they don't look into compact cameras anymore. And yes, I agree that they go into the wildlife, adventure. That's a little bit not the best move currently. I agree with you. Car says, good morning, Robin. Hey, Car, how are you? See, Kunal, that's how people say, start a conversation, right? We say hi first. Hope you're having a great Thursday. My Thursday has been great, Car. Thanks for asking. I wish the same to you. Kunal says, clearly there's room for improvement in autofocus, of course. No 4K 120 in a stack. Wow, you are just blasting out everything. I think the question for this topic today is not so much of like, what we are not happy with in terms of the products in OM system, like the complaints or the things that we don't like. It's more like of all the products that OM system has released, and they have released a lot, right? OM3, OM5 Mark II, several lenses like the 50-200, F2.8. Is OM system doing enough for Micro Four Thirds? Is it enough to stay afloat in the market? Can they survive this? I mean, Panasonic is not even doing anything. They released nothing this year from the Micro Four Thirds camp. They did something for the L Mount Alliance. That's a totally different thing. But at least OM system, they are doing a lot this year. There's several cameras, several lenses. The question here is, are they enough? I mean, if you want to look into the things that we're not happy with, like, oh, they don't have this, they don't have that, this could be improved. I think that is not going to finish, right? Of course, we are free to express what we don't like about the camera. We are free to voice out our disappointment or the wishes that we have, or the wish list that we have for the system to improve, for OM system to take note. But I think like, let's take a pause from that. I think they are doing a lot this year. from that point of view, like, they did release some cameras and they did put in a lot of effort, and I do hope that they are doing well because I want to see them improve as well, right? So if you feel that they don't do enough, then here is the question: what else can they do? What else they should have done this year in 2025? What more can OM system do? All right, that's the main question here. Not so much of like, oh, OM3 sensor is too small or doesn't have this 4K, the autofocus, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, yeah, these are the minor things. Yes, they do add up and they will impact the sales overall and the overall perception of the system. But like, hey, chill, man, chill. And hi to you, Kunal. Andrew says, video and sound is good. Thank you for that. Bart says, oh good, thank you so much. Hey Gregory, how are you? Gregory says, hello Robin and everyone. Audio and video A-OK in Katy, Houston, Texas. Thanks for the update and nice to see you here again. Andrew says, good day to you Robin, everyone. Pleasant evening. Hey Andrew, very, very happy to see you again. Welcome to the stream. Hope you've had a good week. All right. Drew says, everything is good. Thank you so much. Kamuyat Maram says, good evening Robin. Good evening to you too. I just hope next year is the year for new blood for the system. Cook Olympus, cook. I don't know, like maybe next year they'll launch a new flagship, right? Whether it's the OM1 Mark III or something else that is due, right? It's more than 2 years since the OM1 Mark II. So yeah, a proper flagship replacement is due because the OM1 Mark II was just a minor update. It's like a software tweak compared to the original OM1, right? So a proper OM1 Mark III will be great. Yeah, Kunal says, well, of course, hello from the UK. Hello to you too, Kunal. Nice to see you here. Jason says, hi Robin, good morning from Ottawa, Canada. Hey Jason, how are you? Nice to see you here. Kueh Surimuka, oh yes, Kueh Surimuka is so good. My grandfather, when he was alive, of course, he's not with us now. He used to make kueh surimuka and he will ride his bike with his freshly made kueh, and he'll pass it to me and my mom and we'll enjoy it for like tea or something. That was back when I was much younger. So this definitely carries a lot of memories for me. Every time I eat it, it brings back a lot of this sweet childhood. Hey Amir, how are you? Amir says, good evening from JB. How is JB, Amir? I myself will be in JB very, very soon. I'll give you guys some updates on what's happening in my life. Jesus or Jesse, I don't really know how to pronounce this because I have a friend, well, you don't sound like you're from Scotland. I have a friend from Scotland, it's spelled like Jesus, right? Because that's what we pronounce. But we call him Jesse. It's not Jesus, it's Jesse. So I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly, Jesse or Jesus. Clearly, they should bring back the EP series. Yes, I think that's one of the segment that has been missing, the entry-level or the Pan series cameras, right? Definitely. Let me read a few more chats and then we'll start with the updates. Yanis says, hi Robin, hey Yanis, how are you? OM released OM3 and OM5 Mark II cameras with recycled technology from OM1 Mark II and OM5. I don't necessarily think that recycled from OM1 Mark II is a bad thing because OM1 and OM1 Mark II is fairly new, right? It's like new sensor, new processor, and the speed and everything, like Live ND and all this cool stuff, right? I don't think they're necessarily bad that the OM3 is using OM1 Mark II's internals. Anyway, only 5200 is a new product. We need more cameras like Pan for new customers and a flagship with new sensor. I get it. Definitely 5200 is a new product. I personally think it's a great lens. And Pan cameras, as I've mentioned already, I would like to see some Pan cameras as well. Gregory says, focusing on high-end products to generate cash flow to fund new product development is not an unusual business practice. Whether it will work for OM Digital Solutions remains to be seen. But that's not the case for the camera industry. To generate income or cash, usually they move by large quantities, and these are not high-end products. It has always been the lower-end products like entry-level budget cameras. The one that is like, that costs maybe 200, 300 US dollars, or even less than 500 US dollars, like Canon 1000D series during the DSLR days, or Nikon D3000 series. Those are the products that will generate the most income, and based on the income, they fund the R&D to to push new technology and fund the research and get like better high-end products to give the perception that, oh, we are so advanced, we are the best in the market. But then people don't buy the high-end product because they cannot afford it. They go for the low-end products, which is more affordable, right? Yeah, that has always been the case. Jesus? Jesus, okay. There's another way of pronouncing it. It's just like different parts of the world have different ways of pronouncing it, right? I'm not kidding. Like legit. I have a friend in Scotland. We call him Jesse. Jesse. It's not Jesus, it's Jesse. Yeah, which is pretty cool. If you ask, it's pretty cool. Jer says, to my understanding, they have been using the same 20 megapixel sensor since 2019. That should be innovated on for some improvement of at the least. I think they should just use a new sensor, right? There's like a 47 megapixel sensor floating around. Why don't they use it? Trev says, hi Robin, good evening, greetings from Hong Kong. Hey Trev, how are you? It's yeah, but how do we pronounce that? Jesus, Jesse, Jesus? Like the first time, Jesus. So it's Jesus, right? Okay, Faja says, will OM system interest with AI camera like Kyra? Oh my goodness, that is... Can we just all agree that this AI crap should just end? Like, can we not have it touch our cameras? Like seriously, if you want to play with AI, if you want to play with generative stuff, that's up to you. I'm not against it. I know there's a world for it. I know in the future, this will be part of our lives, but come on, can we keep it separate and clean from our cameras? Please, let it not touch our cameras. Like, I cannot understand why they want to integrate in the camera. It just makes things so much worse. Like, no, please no. Like, I'm at this point, I'm just gonna say Jesse. Spain is a normal name. Ah, okay, that's cool. Graham says, I don't think OM Systems has designed anything yet, as the OM1 was designed by Olympus but built by OM System. Do you think OM System have the knowledge to design a new camera? Of course they have. Like, why not? They retain the R&D stuff from Olympus. Like, why don't they have the technology, right? Astram says, good afternoon from Iceland. 50 to 200 lens is a great addition for those who can afford it. Maybe they need to make a successor of the EM10 or the Pan EP7. They probably don't need both. Yeah, definitely one of those. And I think EM10 will be favorable because it has built-in electronic viewfinder. And these days, there are a lot of people who would say no electronic viewfinder or no viewfinder, no go, right? They'll definitely need a camera with a viewfinder. Yeah. Jason says, I feel like OM has maybe done enough in terms of hardware and lenses, but I'm not sure if the marketing has done enough. Too much about nature. These are great travel, street, and everyday carry cameras. Definitely, marketing is another thing that they could have done better this year, right? Instead of just releasing new products, one of the things that can improve the branding as well as sales indirectly will be marketing. And I think that is one area they need to relook the strategy. They need to maybe go back to the drawing board and really and figure out how they're going to target a wider range of consumers instead of just focusing on wildlife, birds, right? And all this wildlife adventure, nature. I think that's too narrow of a market, and I think that drives a lot of potential consumers away just by sticking to that niche, which never worked anyway. If it works, it would have worked by now. It's not like they started doing wildlife. They've been doing wildlife since EM1X. That's like in 2018, 2019. So it's been 7 years, 6-7 years, and it hasn't worked. So it means that it will not work. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna put a pause here. I will definitely go to every single chat, don't worry, but just give you guys some quick updates on what's happening in my life. Let me drink some coffee first. Coffee. Okay. So if you are in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, next week from 10th to 16th of November, there will be a camera fair organized by YL Camera. YL Camera is one of the largest camera retailers in Malaysia. And all the big brands, the major brands, will be participating. As you can see from the logo, Canon, Nikon, Panasonic, Sony, Ricoh, Fuji, all the big brands, right, will be there. And if you want to check out any new camera releases, I don't know if Canon is going to bring the newly launched R6 Mark III and the 45 1.2 lens, which is quite cute, by the way. I'm not sure if they already have, I know they have some units in Malaysia already. I'm just not sure whether they'll bring those cameras there at the fair for people to see and try. Or any new cameras from Sony or OM system. Like if you want to check out the 50-200 lens, it will be at the YL fair as well. I think it's a great place for you to find some great deals, check out some new products, have a feel how the camera feels in your hand, hold it. Definitely it's a good place to just hang out and maybe meet other photographers as well. It's happening next week from 10th to 16th. I think it's Monday to Sunday, if I'm not wrong. I think most of the big events will be happening in the weekends. I'm sure at the main stage there'll be like photography talks, sharing, some activities happening around. They'll probably engage some ambassadors or photographers to give some talks and speeches. All the brands will be involved. I don't have the timetable yet. I don't think they have released the timetable of who is going to be speaking on stage. But if you are in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia during these dates, do check them out. I think it'll be quite fun, especially in the weekends. You'll definitely see a lot of photographers there, and it's a good place to just hang out and meet other people. Unfortunately, in the weekends, I think the 15th and 16th, that's Saturday and Sunday of November, I will not be here in Kuala Lumpur, so I will not be at this YL fair in the weekend. If I were to go and check it out, it will be in the weekdays. And that is because I will be traveling to Johor. There's a Ricoh GR event there, and I'll be speaking about my experience using the Ricoh GR4 to some of the consumers or the people of Johor who are interested. This is a free event. It's at Sutaya bookstore at Aeon Terbral City. I think it's a shopping mall. I've not been there, so I don't know. It's free. You can just scan the QR code on the poster. Please RSVP. I think they have limited slots. If you're free that particular Sunday on 16th of November, 2 o'clock, I would love to see you there. It'll be awesome. I'll be sharing about my experience using the Ricoh GR4 and a lot of my photographs that I've taken with that camera. It's not so much of just me talking about what the camera can do. I'll be sharing a lot about my vision, how I compose my shots, how I plan my shots and categorize them. And yeah, it'll be so much fun. You're free to ask me questions live as well. And fun fact, I think even if you don't register, you can just walk in. You may not be able to enter the seated area because there will be some designated seats for people who have RSVP'd. But I think you can just stand nearby because it's a bookstore. They can't just close it off, right? So this will be quite interesting, and I look forward to seeing some of you Johorians there. I think it'll be really, really, really fun. All right, I think that's all I have to announce this week. I have an engagement this weekend. I'll be speaking for another event, but it's non-camera related. Andrew know what it is. Andrew, if you're here. It's that YouTube thing, and it's happening this Saturday. But there's not a public event. You need to register, and there's a whole lot of things happening. I'm not going to talk about it. So that's Saturday. And yeah, other than that, I have a few shoots there and here. Nothing much happening. And I will have a set of photographs to share from my shutter therapy session I did last weekend. I'll share them later in the second half of this live stream. All right, let's get back to the chat. And yeah, I think we can just start the topic rolling, right? Let's just get things rolling. So the topic for today's discussion is quite straightforward. The question is OM Digital Solutions doing enough in the year 2025? Let's have a recap of what they have launched this year. They have released all the products, right? They released 100 to 400 Mark II, which added the 5-axis sync IS, which is a massive improvement compared to the first generation 100 to 400 a few years ago. They've also launched the OM3, which I think is an excellent camera. Besides it looking so good, which I did mention in my mini reviews. I said that the camera looks so good. It is one of the best looking cameras ever. Like if I were to buy the OM3, it's not so much for the camera's performance or anything. It's more like I just want a camera because it looks so good, right? And I think that's the right move coming from OM Digital Solutions. We need variety, we need options, and OM3 is a breath of fresh air. Although not a lot of people will agree with it, but I think it's interesting. And definitely, I think a lot of you have owned the OM3. I think a lot of people in the world have bought the OM3 as well. And it has the same internals as the OM1 Mark II, which is not a bad thing. Because some people say, oh, it's just recycling for another camera. But like, come on, that's the flagship. Like, you have the same internals as the flagship. You can't expect the OM3 to have better sensor, better processor, better features than the OM1 Mark II. If it has, then nobody's going to buy the OM1 Mark II already, right? And OM1 Mark II is still currently the flagship for OM system, right? So it makes no sense for OM3 to surpass the OM1 Mark II. So, you know, like in that regard, I think OM3 is quite an interesting camera. And then we have several lenses at refresh, which is a big welcome. The 17 f1.8 and 25 f1.8. They have the Mark II version, which includes weather sealing, which is much needed, splash proof and dust proof. I am really hoping that they come out with the 45 1.8 Mark II with weather sealing. If they have that, I'll immediately buy that lens because that's my most frequently used lens, like for my videos, for my jobs, for everything, for all kinds of shooting, right? I just love the 45 1.8. It's my bread and butter lens. It's just sad that they don't have that because of all the f1.8 lenses, right? The 17, 25, and 45. 45 was the first to be launched back then. And then followed by 17 and 25 is the last. But then the 17 and 25 got the weather sealing update first. But why not the 45? I thought the 45 would get it first. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. I think it's coming. Hopefully it comes soon, sooner rather than later. And then after that, they launched the OM5 Mark II, which I think a lot of people are a little bit disappointed because the internals, they are almost exactly the same as the original OM5, with just a little bit, a few tweaks there and here, like instead of micro USB, finally it has a USB-C, you know, and it has like, it's more like a small update compared to like a big refresh, right? So it's a small update, and the one thing that surprised everyone was the sand beige color variant, which I think looks really good. When I look at the sand beige OM5 Mark II from the photographs, or not really photographs, right? A lot of these images that are shown on the official OM system Facebook page or even on the videos or anything, they are not real. They are computer generated, maybe even AI, I don't know, but they are not real. But when you see like the real thing, the sand beige version, it actually looks really good. It looks really good, and it makes sense for a camera that's designed for outdoor, nature, wildlife. It makes sense. Like it blends with a lot of the outfit or adventurous attire that they're wearing, right? Like camouflage colors, like the browns or green tones, earthy tones, right? So it makes sense. And yeah, all in all, I think OM5 Mark II is still a really good camera. I know it doesn't have a lot of improvements compared to OM5, and you feel free to just buy the OM5 if you don't feel like going for the latest and greatest like OM5 Mark II, unless you really want the sand beige version. But I still think it's a great camera. It's really fast. Image quality is more than sufficient for today. The 5-axis image stabilization is amazing, and at that price point, right? At that price point, I don't think you can find a camera that has all these features packed in with weather sealing. All right, built-in electronic viewfinder, really good stabilization, plus weather sealing. Like if you look at the Fuji, Sony, or Canon variants, it's either they don't have weather sealing, or they don't have image stabilization, or they don't have electronic viewfinder. Like one of those things are missing. Like for example, Nikon Z52 doesn't have image stabilization. It doesn't have weather sealing, right? Or you know, any of the Canon cameras or Sony cameras or Fuji cameras, like one of the things will be missing. And even the OM5 Mark II has some really good computational photography features like Pro Capture Mode, Live ND. It has a high-res shot, handheld high-res shot, which I think makes the camera really, really it makes it stand out. Like if you need these features, you need these features. So I'm not saying that, like, oh, it's good that an OM system has this OM5 Mark II, like, oh, I'm forgiving them for making such a tiny update. I do wish that they do more with the OM5 Mark II. Don't get me wrong. And I still think that it's a little bit underwhelming looking at what OM5 Mark II is, but I have to admit, there's no other camera like it. So it's a good time for OM system to release the OM5 Mark II this year. And fast forward to more recent times, we have the 50-200 F2.8 Pro, which I've just made a video about 2 weeks ago. I think it's a fantastic lens. I think the lens is so sharp. The image stabilization, it works really well, and it's definitely one of a kind, 50-200. I know it's not cheap. Looking at the price tag, it's expensive. It's the kind of product where if you need it, you need it. If you don't need it, hey, there's the 40-150 f2.8 Pro. What's wrong with that lens? There's nothing wrong with that lens. The 40-150 f2.8 Pro is still super sharp. It still gives you fantastic image quality. It's still f2.8 constant. You can add teleconverter. It is weather sealed. It is still a great lens, right? But if you need that extra reach without adding teleconverter, if it goes all the way to 200, if you always add teleconverter to your 40-150, then it makes sense for you to replace it with the 50-200. But if you don't want to, you don't have to, right? Like I can see why it existed. Well, a lot of people complain that, oh, it's too expensive, blah, 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 blah. Like, if you don't need it, you don't need it. If you say, what's the point of this lens if you have the 40-150? Then you don't need the lens. The lens is not for you, right? So I actually think that OM Digital Solutions, they have done a lot this year. And I gotta say, I'm quite happy looking at their progress compared to previous years. Like, you can see they really tried this year. I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not saying that they have done everything they can. No, I'm gonna discuss what things could have been done differently soon, very, very soon. But looking at what they've done, it's not bad. I gotta say, good job, OM System. Compared to Panasonic, they have done zero for Micro Four Thirds this year in 2025. Zero. And that is honestly very, very disappointing. Now, one of the things that OM Digital Solutions could have done differently or better this year in 2025. Now, coming to the end of the year now, I don't think there'll be any more product releases. Maybe they'll surprise us with one more camera or lens. I don't know. We're already in November. Well, Sony is about to release a camera based on rumor, and Canon just launched a camera today. So I don't know. Anything is possible, right? Maybe they'll just surprise us with something this late of the year, just before Christmas. I don't know. That's also possible. But I'm just assuming that there's no more surprises, that all the products have been released. Now, one thing they could have done better, number one, is firmware. You may not launch new products, but it should not stop you from releasing substantial, useful, and really, really new firmware that can improve the user experience of existing products. All the products that they have now, OM3, OM5, okay, maybe not OM3 because it's just been launched this year, but the previous OM5 and the OM1, OM1 Mark II, these cameras can benefit from any kind of firmware upgrade. Look at Nikon, look at Sony, look at Fuji. They've been releasing really useful firmwares for the cameras. And it's not just to fix whatever problems there is, and they should fix problems, which they are not doing, by the way, until now, right? And it's just frustrating because firmware is one thing where you can make an old product attractive. Like, people may look at the new product, when they look at the old product, hey, this product with new firmware, it has new features and it has new capabilities and it keeps improving. Case in point, if you look at the original Olympus EM1 and EM1 Mark II, it has firmware 3, firmware 4. It's just reworked the entire autofocus system. It had improved the burst rate, it improved the video shooting capability, added a lot of controls and features into the camera, like first curtain electronic shutter wasn't there in the original EM1, added on to fix the shutter shock problem. You can fix all these problems, right? It makes a huge deal. And silent shutter wasn't there for EM1 originally. They added silent shutter, electronic shutter later during firmware upgrade. Originally, EM1 doesn't have live composite. They added live composite later in EM1. You know, like EM1 Mark II, like the Pro capture mode has more frames, it has more buffer, they improve all these things, and they added like even the live view boost that keeps improving it. They give more versions and more options for us to choose, and it makes the camera a lot more useful. I think OM Solutions should really, really look into firmware upgrades. They shouldn't ignore their existing products. They should improve them continuously. And I understand they can't just launch new OM1 every year, like another one every year. But what they can do is they can invest a little bit in a firmware upgrade and make the camera like a new one again. And trust me, the autofocus in OM1 and OM Mark II, they are far from perfect. They are far from competition. I'm not saying that they are bad. No. I think the autofocus in OM1 is good. There are some things I'm not happy with, but if you really compare with Nikon, with Sony, with Canon, it is so far behind. They can really use some boost, especially some tweaks in the algorithm, in firmware upgrade, to really improve the performance. That can be done in firmware, right? That's number one. Number two, one thing in the product, we're talking about the product strategy now, that's missing is the entry-level camera. A camera that's sub $1,000. Whether it's EM10 or EP series or EPL series, it doesn't really matter. We need a budget, we need a camera that's affordable, that anyone can just buy without thinking too much. We don't, it's very frustrating that almost every camera that is launched is like more than $2,000, right? And it's big, it's heavy, it's over bloated with features. But why don't we have a simpler camera? A camera that's targeted towards beginners, something that's not too expensive, that's easy to carry around, and yet still have all the good features from OM system, like 5-6 image stabilization, built-in electronic viewfinder, really fast autofocus. All these basic features should be there. I think that's missing, and I think that's what makes the market share really, really bad, because what constructs the overall market share is the network of mostly entry-level cameras. Like, you can sell out of 100 cameras that is sold, I think 80 cameras will be entry-level cameras, maybe 15 or more cameras will be mid-level, and only the flagship will be maybe just 5. That is the truth, right? 80% or 90% of the market is consistent of entry-level products or entry-level sales. If you take that away, just leave your flagship, your OM1 and OM3, your sales is just gonna be so small, right? That's the truth. If you want to move your sales, if you want more market share, if you want to be more prominent in the market, then you gotta release some sort of camera that is affordable. Without doing that, you're just digging your own grave. And it shows in the market share data. It really, really, really shows. And finally, the third thing will be marketing. Now, I don't want to criticize them so much because I've been saying this all this time. I've mentioned that the strategy of wildlife photography is not a good one. I've mentioned that if it works, it would have worked by now. They've tried so hard to push this OM system, cameras and lenses to wildlife, but there's such a narrow niche, and I think that it just drives more people away than attract them into the system. Now, I've mentioned this before, I'm just not going to say much about it. I think it's a wrong move. I think it's about time they really rethink how they're going to market the products to a wider audience, and I don't think that's impossible, but hey, I'm not the expert here, right? All I can see is their mistakes, and how they move forward is really up to them. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with my thoughts? I do think that OM System is trying really hard this year. They have launched a lot of exciting products. That is a plus point compared to Panasonic. I don't know what Panasonic is doing. I've already talked about this. Hey, Panasonic, why no new products in 2025, right? That's in one of my recent streams. And I also think that there are 3 things that the OM Digital Solutions could have done better. The firmware updates, like, come on, where are they? You know, entry-level cameras like EM10 or EPL series camera, and of course, the marketing strategy could have been improved or reworked. Like, do you guys agree? Or do you have any ideas on how or what OM Digital Solutions could have done more or better this year in 2025? The year is ending fast, you know, like maybe in another stream we'll talk about what we wish to see happen or what we wish for them to do in 2026. But for now, let's just look back, reflect, look at what we have in this year 2025, and are you happy with what OM Digital Solutions has done? Let me know in the chat and I'll drink some coffee. Coffee always. All right, let's get to the chat. Andrew says, Yes, Robin, I'm still here. Unfortunately, I won't be at the talk since they would still have not responded to my email now. I don't think you want to be there. I'm just doing it because I've promised, and I'm not the kind of person where if I say I'm going to do something and then I'll just change my mind. But I'm also curious to see what's happening there. So I'll just go there, do my part, and then, yeah, we'll see what happens. Whatever happens, happens, right? I don't think you want to go there. Andrew says, what I really want from OM is another EPO EPL. They really need to bring back the pen. Yes, I agree. That's one of the things that I've mentioned already. Andrew says, there is a demand for small rangefinder style cameras. Definitely, there is a big demand. Yeah. Bart says, Canon's new R6 Mark III seems to have caught up with the OM1 in certain aspects. Like, no. The R6 Mark II is like way better than OM1 in every single aspect, right? Like, come on, like seriously. The autofocus, have you used R6 autofocus? Not even R6 Mark II, R6. It is way better than OM1. What are you talking about? Like, what OM should now focus, they are not even ahead of the game. They should catch up. I don't know what planet are you on, Bart? Like, seriously? From my understanding, from what I've tested using R6, R5 versus OM1, OM1 is nowhere near what Canon can do, like nowhere near. We have a super chat. Thank you so much, Ricard. Appreciate that. You're doing enough, Robin. Keep up your excellent work. Oh, thank you so much, Ricard. Appreciate the support. Really appreciate it. All right, let's see. All right. C. Prush says, I need AI to do my chores, not my hobbies. Yes, AI should be there to like help with our workload, the things that we do daily in and out, right? It's not so much on our creativity input and stuff like that. It's just, I think it'll do more harm than good. Like, imagine one day AI is so realistic, like what's the point of taking photos anymore, right? I don't want the camera to have any sort of generative AI. I don't deny that the autofocus in the camera is already based on machine learning, deep learning, and partially AI. I just don't want it to have anything generative. It's just, please keep it separate, right? Trev says, I agree. Keep the AI slot out of the real creative world of photography. Yeah. Har says, OM1X and OMPF right now, please. I think EM1X was a mistake. It was a big mistake. I'm not the only one who thinks so. And if it is a mistake and it has cost the company losses, I think it'll be another big mistake to bring it back. Yeah. Hey, Vapagomoka, nice to see you here. Jill says, totally no AI here. Agreed. Fajar says, okay, I understand that you will not try Kara camera as soon. Why would I want to try such a crap camera? Come on, no. Like, seriously. Tom Takumi says, what do you think about the Leica M EV1? I've heard of the announcement, but I have not looked into it. Okay, let's look at the basic specs of M EV1. I'll go to DP review. So I know that it removes the rangefinder mechanism, replaces it with electronic viewfinder for the first time. It has 60 megapixel image sensor for a manual focusing camera. That is dangerous. The slight misfocus is going to be so obvious. It has 5.76 million dot OLED EVF. I guess that's the same electronic viewfinder as the OM1. LCD screen, 2.33 million dot. That's amazing. Internal storage, 64 gig. That's not going to be enough for the 60 megapixel RAW files. I think the 64 gig internal storage is enough if the sensor has like 20 megapixels or 24 megapixels. It has 60 megapixels. I think if you shoot RAW, that 64 gig is just going to be not enough. I think minimally you need like 256, right? Internal storage. Pretty much that's it, right? Like, it's a camera that instead of using the rangefinder way of manual focusing, the split screen, right? So they remove that altogether and just put in all electronic viewfinder. I don't know. Like, I haven't used a Leica before. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've said this many times. No autofocus, no go for Robin. So it's manual focus. It's not for me. Now it's still manual focus. It's still not for me. But I guess the experience of manual focusing is improved with the use of a high resolution electronic viewfinder. I think you can have like focus peaking, focus magnify, zebra, whatever. There are so many ways for you to pinpoint your manual focus. But still, I think life is too short for manual focus. So for me, that is not something that I will get into. So I'm so sorry. I know a lot of people love the red dot. A lot of people have a soft spot for Leica, and Leica is a strong brand. It's a legacy brand, and it's often associated with luxury, right? If you wear Leica, it's a status of symbol. It's a status of prestige. I get it, but I'm just gonna be honest. It's way overpriced. I can't afford it. I've been losing a lot of money this year. With my mom's funeral and everything, money just keeps going out and out and out. I'm like, no, this is the kind of thing that is definitely not in my list, not even in top 100 of my list. So yeah. R says, also a prime lens like 11 f1.7. Why 11 though? We have 12 f2. That's like so close, right? What's wrong with 12 f2? Why 11 f1.7? Are you telling me that from 12 to 11, it makes a huge difference? And are you telling me from f2 to f1.7 is a world of difference? If I were to give you a suggestion, I'll say just go for 12 f2. Like, there's practically just a tiny... I'm not saying there's no difference. There's some difference, a small difference, but come on, it's just as good, right? Yeah. John says, good morning from Vancouver, Canada. Hey, John, how are you? Koshal says, hi Robin, is there anyone else who will be excited if OM makes a fixed 35 equivalent lens rangefinder system, full metal body, IP53 with OM3 internals, fixed 35 equivalent lens? That means it's the Fuji X100. So are they going to compete with Fuji X100? I don't know. Like, they can. I'm sure if they can do it, just whether they want to or not. And based on the many interviews that they've had with Petapixel, DP Review, with a lot of other like Digital Camera Magazine and everyone else, it seems like the repeating answer has always been consistent. No. No to compact fixed lens cameras. That is the answer, right? So, of course, if you're asking if anyone's excited, all of us will be excited. I will be excited. But it's also very important for us to stay grounded and see what's happening and listen to the official answers from OM Digital Solutions. They are saying no, unfortunately. Don't forget the Mark II. I thought I mentioned this. Did you not hear this? I thought I mentioned in the list of all the products that's launched by OM System, right? Let's recap. 100 to 400 Mark II, OM3, 17, 25 F1.8 Mark II, OM5 Mark II, and 50 to 200 F2.8 PRO. Like any other, did I miss any products from OM Digital Solutions? Like, let me know if I do. Fajar says, by the way, Realme collaborates with Ricoh for photography. Maybe in future OM System can do it with other brands. Like, Fajar, let me try to put it in the nicest way possible. In this kind of collaboration, it's a win-win situation, but there's no exchange of technology involved. So what happens is Realme pays Ricoh to use the brand. All right. Let's say for each camera, they paid Ricoh $10 for each camera sold or each camera cost, right? Just to have the right to use the brand Ricoh, because Ricoh GR3 GR series is very popular. Now, they can use Ricoh to boost the image or the brand or the visibility of their products. They say, oh, this is a smartphone camera, but because Ricoh is helping us, this can be a legit camera. But the truth is, it's still a smartphone camera. It's not a Ricoh GR. What defines Ricoh GR? Let me ask you, what truly defines Ricoh GR? APS-C sensor, fixed f2.8 lens, right? A really sharp f2.8 lens, and pocketable camera. What is the Realme? It's not even an APS-C sensor. It's not even 1 inch. So there's one thing gone already. And the lens is definitely not going to be as good as the lens that is used in the Ricoh GR, right? So what it is, the Realme that has the Ricoh brand, is just a smartphone camera with a branding. And they can get to sell more cameras. In return, Ricoh or Pentax, they earn money. Let's say that Realme sells 10 million units of that Realme camera. So 10 million, each unit, they have to pay $10. It means for Ricoh, without doing anything, just by signing the deal, they get away with $100 million, just like that. Okay, maybe they don't sell 10 million units. I don't know, I'm just exaggerating. Even so, if they sell 1 million units, which is not impossible, by the way that China moves their products in India, Indonesia, Malaysia, and all these Southeast Asian countries, I'm sure they're moving millions. Let's say they just move 1 million product. That's $10 million Easy money without doing anything, just by giving another person, another brand, the consent to use your brand. It's the same thing with Huawei and Leica collaborations. It's the same thing with Xiaomi and Leica collaborations. There is no exchange of technology. Funny story, like recently I was speaking at Kuala Lumpur Photography Festival. Like, Andrew, if you're here, you'll understand like how dark it was, right, when I was speaking in the room. And my friend, who is a Xiaomi ambassador, so of course, I helped him to take his photographs when he was speaking, right? So he wanted to return the favor, but he didn't have his camera with him. He had his Xiaomi smartphone with him, right? He took a few photographs and he gave up. And I asked him why. Then he showed me. He sent me some of the photographs. Oh my goodness, it was so bad. Let me see if I can find them. Let me see if I can... It's like Leica, by the way. Let me see if I can find them quickly. If I can, I can. If I can't, never mind. Let me see if I can find them. I can show you guys how bad these photographs are. Let me see. How do I look for it? I've shared this before, by the way. Let's see. No, I don't think I can find it, but it was so bad. Why can't I find it here? Let me try it on my phone. See if I can find it on my phone. Just give me a moment. If I can find it, I find it. It was so bad. Okay, so it's here. Media. All right. So it was in August, right? Yeah, I found it already. Let me just send this to my email, which is the slow way. Let's see, there's another one here, right? Yes, there's another one. Let me share this. Give me a moment, guys. Give me a moment. Okay. Okay, let's check my email. I'll show you guys the photographs. Okay, 2 photographs here. Let me just download this. And download this. Okay. I don't know if I can do this. Let me try. Windows screen. All right. So this was shot Xiaomi 15 Ultra, their latest. There you go. A Leica camera. Are you telling me this is what Leica camera can do? There's another photograph. Let me see. Yeah, this is the one. Like... And I have taken so many photographs during this session, which I have also shared previously. Let me see if I can bring it back. Let me just go to camera first. Let me just find, I have the photographs online compared to what I have taken. Let me quickly just go to KLPF. KLPF. Albums. KLPF this year. KLPF. All right, here it is. Okay, let me see if I can go to Windows screen. And this is what I've shot in KLPF. And mind you, you can see from the side, this was taken with EM10, yeah? EM10. And kit lens. Andrew can testify, shot with kit lens. Like, you know, at least you can see some eyes and nose, right? Like, come on, like, seriously. It's not perfect. I know it's kit lens. It's not a pro lens. You know, this was, I think, shot with... No, this is not kit lens. This was a 45 1.8. Yeah, and there's the audience there. There's Suntix. Suntix if you're around. All right. Like, seriously, you know, you want to compare with, say, like, there you go, your smartphone, right? Okay, back to topic. Like, no, like, seriously, I don't understand how people can compare and believe that once you slap on a brand like Leica or Ricoh or partner with someone, then the smartphone automatically is a better camera like Hasselblad, whatever, or Zeiss, right? No, a smartphone is a smartphone. It's not a camera. When it comes to real situations, like even recently, I talked to a friend who shoots sports, and I'm not gonna name names or brands. So this smartphone brand asked her to test their super telephoto lens on the camera to shoot sports. She tried. After 5 minutes, she gave up. She took her Canon cameras and started shooting because it's just crap. It cannot follow the movement. It cannot autofocus accurately. Everything is out of focus. Everything is blur. It's just so many problems. It's like the smartphone is just horrible. It just cannot. There's so much lag. There's so many problems. If I were to list all the problems, it's just not there. And to claim that it can be a Ricoh GR, that is, oh my goodness, that is really no. I hope this clears things up, Rajar. Astrom says, lenses updated 75 1.8, 45 1.8 with better ceiling. Yes, 45 1.8. I will buy it immediately. Maybe a high-end normal zoom like a 1435 f2. Yes, one system, a version of Sigma 17 41.8. Definitely. They need the f2 or f1.8 zoom lens. I think they can do it. I think they have the expertise to do it. Like, why not, right? Hey Santix, how are you? Do you see yourself in the photograph earlier? Okay, let's see if the members chat. Andrew says, I've never played with the R6, but I had with the R8. The autofocus is crazy, insane, fast. I would never imagine anyone would say that the autofocus is not as good as OM1. I cannot imagine, nobody in the world would say that. No one. Yeah. Comment latency. No worries. Let's see, where were we? Sunday says, OM system doing enough for 2025 but need to do more in 2026. So Santix thinks is enough. That's great. Faja says, OM system needs to add new features for videography. But then again, can they though? Like, they are so far behind. And in terms of video, it's like the Panasonic's game, right? And I also think that it may not be a bad thing for Panasonic to dominate the video segment. They are doing a great job. It's just that they don't have entry-level options. I mean, let's talk about Panasonic's problem another day. They have a lot of problems on their own. But it's also a good thing, like Panasonic video and OM system, like for non-video stuff. And I don't want like my camera to do like all the video things. I have to pay like ridiculously expensive price for like open gate, like 4K 120, like shooting raw, 32-bit float audio. Like, I don't use any of this. And if you put in the camera, I don't want to pay for it, right? Like, it's also ridiculous for people like me who don't need any of these features. So yeah. Jerry says, I'm in a hurry this month. Just want to say hello to you all. Hey Jerry, how are you? Wow, in this month. You're hurry. Wow, what happens this month? November. It's a busy November for you, Jerry? Yes, definitely firmware, Santix. Graham says, is there a limit to the amount of pixels you can have on micro four thirds sensor? No. Like, people keep us, I don't know, I've said it so many times. Micro four thirds, 47 megapixel, petapixel. Like, I've shared this so many times. Like, if you haven't seen this, Graham, please check this out. 47 megapixel micro four thirds sensor. So, Graham, if you haven't seen this, please check it out. It's already there and it was launched in 2019. So I expect that, okay, of course, when it's launched in 2019, we're not going to expect cameras from 2019 or 2020 to have it, right? But come on. 2022, 2023, like 4 or 5 years later, I'm sure some cameras can have that sensor, right? But we don't have anything from that as well. So yeah. Andrew says, yeah, you shot the 1232 kit lens with fully 150 budget lenses, spectacular results. That was on the first day. So the photographs I shared earlier was I have to be honest, right? I have to be 100% honest. So the ones I shared just now, because I just simply grabbed one album that I just opened it. So it was from the second day, and it was the I mixed with 45 1.8 as well because the first day it was so bad that I decided to just use 45 1.8 on the second day. Yeah. Gotta be honest, right? Yeah. Har says, I could see one last lens like a 12 F2 Mark II or 45 1.8 Mark II accompanied with next year's lens chart. Maybe that's too ambitious. Like, the lens chart shows no new lens. That's what we talked about last week, right? Why is there no new lenses from the OM system lens roadmap? That is troubling, right? Yeah. Lex says, I think the demand for the E300 should be enough to shoot them going to focusing on. I don't understand what YKWIM is, Yukwim, and what E300. I don't think there's a demand for E300 at all. Like, E300 was not selling at all at that time. It was a poor product, and it was one of the failures from the earlier Olympus DSLR system. It is not until they have the E520, when they first put in the image stabilization, E510, E520, then the products start to pick up a little bit of pace. But even then, they still fail. Like, they move on from there. They just discontinue the entire E system. Fajar says, OM system must be able to present cheap products line like R100, Fuji S. Yes, entry-level budget cameras. That's what I mentioned earlier as well. I agree. R says, 10 to 50 F2.5 Pro white. Nah, I think I'll take 12 to 40 F2. F2. That would be great. Trev says, can focal reduction be a good strategy to develop small and ultra-fast glass? No. There will always be compromises, and they should not do any reduction or whatever. Just use actual lens and put it in the lens itself and focus as it should be. Yeah. Josh says, do we need so many new models like Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV? So are you saying that you are happy with just EM1 original and you don't want any new products from there? Like, just use that one and that's it. If you can use like a 10 years old, 20 years old camera and stay with it forever, sure. But I'm sure that's not how business works, right? In order to bring in new revenue, there must be new products out there for people to buy. And there will be always new people buying new products all the time. It's been proven. Any products, smartphones, cameras, any other gadgets, devices, headphones, whatever, right? Once you have a new product, people will buy it. So how are you going to how are you going to bring in revenue as a business if you don't have new products? I don't understand. Chris says, hey Robin, timely topic. I just picked up the OM3 last night, only 2 weeks after getting the Olympus EM5 Mark II. I'm coming from Sony A7 Mark IV, so how did I get here? Partly you, partly Emily. Welcome to the club. I hope you enjoy the OM3, and I hope you love the EM5 Mark II. I think both are great cameras. They are very, very different. I would still use the EM5 Mark II today if I have one. I've never had an EM5 Mark II before, but OM3 is definitely the latest and the greatest for Micro Four Thirds and from OM system. And the camera has all the internals of the flagship OM1 Mark II. So I hope you enjoy the camera, Chris. And congratulations on the purchase. The Great Vanzini says, good morning, Robin. Good morning to you too. Nice to see you here. Vince says, as a long-term Micro Four Thirds user with 6 megapixels, 6 Micro Four Thirds cameras, I'm highly impressed with my OM3. This is a superb camera which is competitive, feature-rich, and great user experience. All right, I'm happy that you're happy with the OM3. Lex says, I think the people want rangefinder style camera. Yeah, but then again, they already say like they're not going to do anything compact camera or anything small, right? And they don't even know what they want to do with the pan line of cameras. 11 because it's a prime number. Oh, come on, let's be practical. Trev says, oh, I typed that before they mentioned that. Yeah, I didn't miss what you've said. No worries, no worries. That's slow shutter. You're referring to the photograph, right? That I showed the Leica smartphone camera, right? Dave says, hi Robin, which Micro Four Thirds lens has the widest zoom range? I'd like to have something like 28 to 400 or even 28 to 600 equivalent, like Tamron 18 to 400. You can check out 12 to 200. I think that's the widest that I'm aware of. Trying to find. Okay, here it is. Give me a moment. The video is loading. It was done 6 years ago. Wow. 6 years. Close this. Olympus 12 to 200 mm. There you go. Dave, check out the link if you have not done so. Yeah, let me see if I can open it. Yes, 12 to 200 f3.5 to 6.3. And Jeffrey says, 10 years OM had great glass and best-in-class autofocus speed and accuracy in mirrorless genre. Since then, most have caught up and surpassed in continuous autofocus speed and tracking accuracy. This needs improvement. I think definitely. And I feel like this can be done through firmware. I also feel like they intentionally hold it back. Maybe they don't want whatever they have now to surpass whatever that they're coming out with next. I don't know, I'm just speculating here. Because the hardware is already there, and the tracking and the continuous autofocus capabilities and the subject detection AI in the OM1, OM5 Mark II is not half bad. It's quite good. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just that it's not quite up to standard, or it's not quite the same, or it's not as good as or as reliable as Canon, Nikon, or Sony. They're just way ahead, right? Different league altogether. And I feel that they can catch up just by simple tweaks. I don't know, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe they need to upgrade the processor, maybe they need to improve the RAM, memory, or whatever, and they need different hardware, or the face detection autofocus system has to be drastically reworked. I don't know, but I feel that all the important things are there. Again, I could be wrong. It's just maybe it's just some software upgrade. I don't know why they don't do that. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating, right? Trev says, you guys are talking to each other. Fromia says, can you recommend any grip for OM3? Or do you prefer gripless? I definitely prefer a grip, but I don't have an OM3, so I can't recommend anything. I think Rob Track has a lot of recommendations. If you follow Rob, I think you can go to one of his live streams and just throw this into Rob's chat. And Rob has like multiple live streams a week, right? 2-3 times. Yeah, I think he has an OM3 and has bought like several grips for his OM3. Yeah. Also, thoughts on the Leica M EV1. Do you think the price is a rip-off? I've already shared my thoughts earlier. Kamil says, good morning from Mississauga. I hope I got it right. Canada. Hey Kamil, how are you? Oh, you are studying, Jerry. Well, all the best for your studies, Jerry. Good luck. Lex says, you could have got it for $80 a couple years ago. Now the price are crazy because people want that. What $80? Are you talking about E300? Why would people want E300? It makes zero sense. Yeah. Erkan says, I want to buy a camera. I'm torn between EM1 Mark III and the Lumix G9. Which one should I choose? I have an average of 500 euros. I would lean towards EM1 Mark III only for one reason. G9 doesn't have face detection autofocus. That's it. That will impact your continuous autofocus. That will impact even the general autofocus accuracy. And if you're shooting both stills and video, especially video, the face detection autofocus will make the autofocus of the camera a lot more reliable. It sticks to the face. Like now you see, the reason why this OM1 is able to track my face and stick on my face is all because of the face detection autofocus. That's something that G9 does not have. And Trish says, what other lenses does OM system need? Updating lens, yes. Oh, they have a lot they need to release. They should update all the current F1.8 to Mark II weather sealed, the 12 F2 weather sealed, 75 F1.8, 45 1.8 weather sealed. They maybe need to update the macro lens, 60 F2.8. It's a long time coming. That lens is outdated. Maybe they can improve the focus breathing issue, improve the optics a little bit. I think maybe make it 2:1 magnification if they can, make it not too expensive. There are a lot of other lenses like even the wide angle lens, why stop at 7, right? They can make it 6mm rectilinear, right? Make it a fixed lens, 6mm f2.8. I think that will be amazing with autofocus. And why stop at 600mm at the longest end? They can go to 800, 1000 or 1200mm f5.6, for example. And even in terms of like some of the older lenses, 75-300, that requires an update already. And even the standard zooms like 12 to 40, 40 to 150, maybe make a higher grade lens, like for example 12 to 40 f2 or 40 to 150 f II. That would be amazing. Like, I have endless ideas. I actually have a list of the 10 lenses that OM Systems should make. And it's quite recent actually. You can check them out if you want. What other lenses? I have a list of 10 for you to pick. Yeah, let's see, where is my video? There it is. Copy. Yeah. 10 missing lenses. Micro 4/3. So later, if you are free, you can check out this video that I've made maybe a few months ago, I think. Yep. All right. Tomato says, good evening, Robin and all. I think Robin was moving around so fast there would be a motion blur at 1/4,000 of a second. 1/4,000. I think 1/2,000 is enough to freeze most sports. I think if it's very fast moving like golf, the golf swing, right? You might need more than 1/2,000. Yeah. All right, let's see what else. There's one chat here. No worries, Dave. I appreciate that's fine. Trev says, is there any possibility that we can get a 43 equivalent lens? I really like that field of view. Well, we have 40. So what's wrong with 40? I think 40 is fine, right? David, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. David says, I'm all for small, light portable gear, so I'm happy about this year's release of OM5 Mark II, and it's the camera I'll be getting next to upgrade my EM10 Mark III. That's a massive upgrade. New sensor, better processor, better image stabilization, wider ceiling, and all the computational features like Pro Capture Mode, high-res shot, live ND, like a lot of cool features in the camera, right? These small bodies are all I need to do photography as a hobby, definitely. And may I ask, which color are you going for? Is it going to be the sand beige or silver or black? Thanks for the support, David. Really, really appreciate it. Alan says, a 1240 f2 sounds awesome. Planning to sell my Olympus to the 40 f2.8 mainly because it's not as sharp, not much smaller than 12100 f4. All right. Wow, you're saying it's not much smaller than 12100 f4. Okay, that is in my, okay, I have 12 to 40 and I've used 12 to 100 quite extensively. In my mind, the 12 to 100 is double the size of 12 to 40, more than double the size. Like, you say not that much small, like, okay, I don't get it. I guess for different people, like some people say, oh, E1X is like so small in my hands. I'm like, what? That is a monstrous camera, right? So size is relative. And some cameras can be too big for some people, it can be too small for some people. Like one shoe can't fit everyone's feet, right? Aaron says, deal of the lifetime, just got a 25 and 45, 1.8 for $200. Oh, that's amazing, Aaron. Congratulations. Gonna be a huge upgrade. Plus, you get to use old batteries. Yeah, definitely. All right, I'm going to put a pause here. I'm going to share this week's set of photographs. But before I do that, it's 7 minutes past 11. Let me drink some water to stay hydrated. All right. Lower down the microphone a little bit. So last Sunday, I was out with Amir. Amir, if you're still here. Was it Sunday, though? Yeah, I think it was Sunday. Yes, I was out with Amir because another friend had a Fuji photo walk, and we did not. No, it wasn't with Amir. Sorry, it was with another friend, Chun. Why did I think about Amir? Sorry, I had lunch with Amir, but I did not have photo walk with Amir. I don't know why I said that. So I was with another friend, Chun, and we went to Jalan Masjid India. It was a morning walk. We ended up in Chowkit, and just to keep things a little bit fun, I'm gonna leave some mystery in this particular series of photographs. I will not tell you what camera I used, but I think there are a lot of clues when you look at the photographs. And I don't think it's easy to guess what camera it is, but it doesn't really matter. These photographs will be used as sample photographs to talk about the camera in one of the videos that I'm going to make in the future. And I'm still in the process of collecting enough photographs. So I'm showing you some of the initial photographs that I've taken with this camera. It's not an old camera. Sorry, it's not a new camera. It's quite an old camera. And yeah, let's look at those photographs. Okay, so this is just near, how do I describe this place? It's Jalan Masjid India, but there is like a river So where I'm standing, behind me, like I'm facing this man, right? Behind me is a river, and there's a lot of pigeons there because people throw away the leftover rice and bread into the river, and all the pigeons will just come and nab those whatever leftover food. And I like this shot. I saw this immediately. I knew I wanted to take this shot because outside of the restaurant, there's a lot of these stools and tables set up on the 5-foot way, and there's this man alone sitting there, hiding under the shadows. Although some of the bright spots of the sun shining onto the wall itself. But I like this because there's a lot of contrast happening. There's vertical lines, there's horizontal lines, there's repetitive patterns, and there's the man there waiting. And I intentionally included the hand railing in front and the pillar on the right to add a little bit of layer, depth. So you have a little foreground before the eyes lead you to all the way to the back where the man is sitting. And yeah, this is one of my favorite shots recently. Nothing special about it. Again, like this is not the kind of shot that will win any street photography competition, and it may not even be a street photography shot really qualify as one. There's no humor, there's no drama, there's no moment. But I don't care. Like these are real life, and the scene is untouched. It's real. Like if you walk around Kuala Lumpur, this is what you see. And I'm not lying about anything here. So because of that, there is, to me, this photograph means a lot to me, right? There's meaning in it. And this man just walking by. This was really, really close to the camera. It's impossible for him not to look at me. And it's just funny because he was in the market selling vegetables. And I don't know, I was just walking very slowly. I think he must have walked really fast to one end and bring back all these cardboards on him. And as he was passing by, this was more like a autofocus test on the camera, see whether the camera is fast enough to grab this man in action, right, while he's moving. So yeah, the camera did a splendid job. Yeah, and I find this really creepy. A real life-size mannequin of a small boy wearing religious robe. And this would have looked a lot scarier at night, I think, not under morning light. It just looks so like peaceful, right, in the morning, but I think this will look very different at night. But yeah. But anyway, I like to take mannequins. I think I have enough series to make a project on mannequins in Kuala Lumpur. That will be really interesting. I should print a book, all the shots of the mannequins that I've captured over the years. That will be really interesting. Portrait of a man outside a grocery store, and yeah, this is something that I love to do. I go really close to the person and get really close, ask permission to grab the shot. Yeah, portrait of a stranger. It's ongoing. And I don't like the colors of this camera. It doesn't look good. I think this comment tells you a lot about what camera this is. I really don't like the colors on this camera. So the skin tone just looks very, very weird and unnatural. I love this shot because there is the red shirt of the man matches the red bell at the top and the red box in the background. And his blue jeans matches the blue canvas that's covering whatever that's at the back. I love the red on red, blue on blue, and overall color harmony. They just comes together very nicely. I love a splash of yellow at the cart on the left. Everything just looks so nice. It's like everything just falls into place nicely in this one single photograph. So yeah. And these are group of men working at the river. I think they're doing some maintenance work. The river is, I think, it's partially mechanical, and there's some electrical things involved because they are pumping fake, mist along the river of life. So whatever that's doing those fake mist, I'm sure it requires a lot of maintenance work. Things get blocked, or wiring might have been damaged or something. So yeah, these men are there to do a lot of maintenance work. Yeah. And I love this because of the bright sun shining on the lady, and the lady is looking at me directly. Yeah, and I love that her shop is just a tiny stretch, and next to it, it's like another shop selling wine and liquor. It's just so cool. And I just love that she wears the headscarf. It's bright red. And she's sitting on like a stack. How many stools were being stacked? At least like 5 stools were being stacked, right? So she's sitting like really high up there. Pretty cool. Yeah. And cyclists, a lot of cyclists in Kuala Lumpur in the morning, and I love that. I like to take shots like this. Like you have different layers, right? You have the layer of the cyclist in front, you know what he's doing based on what he's wearing, and he's on his bike, and you can see where this is. Obviously at the back you can see the Merdeka 118 tower, and that building is the second tallest building in the world at the moment. So yeah, and all the layers of the buildings and everything is just nice. Yeah. And I love taking photos of men, and I love taking photos of people on the streets, them doing anything or chatting or chilling or just, yeah. It's just like whatever I see from that reality, I just take a slice of it by clicking my shutter button, right? And I present it to you guys. Yeah. This shot is to test the dynamic range actually, like this. You see there's the guys on the left under the sun, and then there's the guy on the right with the darker skin tone is under the shade. So this is usually a very difficult scene if you really want to recover the highlights or pull up the shadows. Yeah. This is just a playful shot because the skirt or the dress at the top was covering the head of the lady in painting. So it's just and yeah, just a playful shot. And I just love all the colors here. You can see the red, the yellow, bright yellow, the green, the blue, like all kinds of colors are within this one frame. Again, while this is a very colorful photograph, I don't like the color representation of this camera. It just looks very, very weird. Yeah. And yeah, a mannequin, like I said, I have a series of mannequin, and this will be perfect for my mannequin project. I love this because the mannequin must have fallen like dozens or hundreds of times. The nose is bashed in, broken, and the head is like need to be plastered together. Even so, you can see a huge hole on the forehead, which is like, my goodness, like this mannequin has gone through a lot. Like seriously, the stories that the mannequin can tell. And yeah, and this shot is just again playing with layers. Like I see that there is the you see the red background. I saw the women with the red scarf, so I waited for her to pass by, but I wanted the men in the background to be in focus instead of the women. So I pre-focused at the background. As she walked by, I clicked the shutter button, so you can see layers, layers, layers here, right? And I love patches of light. In the morning, we have this directional light. You have highlight and shadow. I love this. I was slightly elevated. I think I was on the first floor shooting down with the camera. The camera zoomed in, and I was just waiting for the three ladies to walk into the light from the shadow. So yeah. And yeah, things that happen. I was shooting really early, so all the shops are just opening, people are setting up, and generally in the morning everyone is very, very friendly. That's the best time to shoot photographs. You see all smiles, everyone is just so warm and so nice. So yeah. And this is the last photograph of the shot. This was already approaching noon. After this particular stretch, I think not far from here, we had our lunch. And I just find it strange that so many people here just gather outside this closed shop and just sit around doing nothing. I think they are waiting for like a bus or a van to come and pick them up and to go somewhere. Maybe they are traveling tourists. Maybe they are going somewhere after this, after Kuala Lumpur. I don't know. But it seems like maybe they are not from around here, and they're sitting there waiting, and you know, it's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And they're all like looking so calm, so peaceful. Like, I don't know. It's just, the scene just drew me in to just want to grab a shot of them. So for this particular shot, I actually raised the camera up above my head level, used the tilt screen, and grabbed the shot, right? So at this tip I've shared many times. You try not to shoot the camera at the eye level all the time. If you want the shot to be better, it will be usually away from the eye level, whether it's lower or higher. You can go as low as the ground level, or you can go as high as possible. You can see your shot, your composition, your framing will be a bit more dramatic, like this one. You can see where the car is, right on the left. It's above the car level. So there you go. Alright, that's it. These are the photographs that I've shared. I hope you guys enjoyed them. I will not tell you what camera is being used to capture these photographs, but if you have guessed correctly, I will tell you that you are correct. Feel free to guess whatever camera, doesn't really matter. I hope you enjoyed the series. I think photographs, these photographs are more than just the choice of camera that I use. I think if you can look at the value of the photographs in terms of the subject content, the composition, the way I play with lighting, I think there's a lot more in getting these photographs than just choosing the right camera and lens, right? I hope you see that. That's the main message that I've been trying to put out here on my channel again and again. All right, let's get to the chat. But before that, let me drink some water. Do we have coffee? Okay. Before I get back to the chat, just want to remind everyone that I have enabled membership on this channel. With just the price of a cup of coffee, you can support me. And in return, you get some really cool perks. You have early access to all my new videos. You see my videos 24 hours before everyone else. We also have members-only live streams once a month where you can come in and chat with me a lot more directly and intimately. And I will reply to your comments or chats first before everyone else, right? Much like this live stream, I'll prioritize my responses to members first. I've also taken down some old videos that are not performing well. Well, technically, all my videos are free for everyone to watch. But if you guys don't want to watch them, for whatever reason, that's fine. If the videos get very small view, like the latest video, the 50-200 F2.8 PRO, that video doesn't get a lot of views. If in 1 to 2 months time it doesn't hit 10,000 views, I will take the video down. And the reason I do so is so that YouTube will continue to push my new videos to a wider audience. All right? So, well, it's fair, right? I make it free for you guys to watch. You guys don't watch it, so I take it down. If you want to watch these videos, you can join as a member. Now, some of these videos include tips and tricks on black and white photography, composition and framing, as well as how to get sharp images doing inside macro photography. And soon, I think it will be the 50-200 f2.8 video. So anyway, if you can join as a member to support me, but there are other ways to support me as well. You can buy me a cup of coffee using this link, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal if that's more convenient for you, or you can buy from my affiliate links from Amazon and B&H. All these links are in this description below. So any support will go a long way, will definitely help me. Or you can send super chat here. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, for those of you who have contributed, who have been generous in supporting me, thank you so much. And it definitely will encourage me to go out, shoot more, and share as much as I can with you guys here on this channel. All right, let's get to the chat. Jeffrey says, my favorite part is your image shares and stories that go with it. Thanks. No worries, Jeffrey. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Incambaro says, what wide angle lens do you think is really the best for carry around? What are your choices beyond 12? Panasonic 9 f1.7. Let's see. I'm surprised you haven't seen that. That's my favorite lens. I've talked about it a lot of times. Let's see. There you go. Share. Copy. Panasonic 9mm f1.7. There we go, Ingham Barrel. If you haven't seen this video, please check it out. I love it because it is wider than 12. Just wide enough for most of the things that I want to shoot. I know that it's not the widest micro four thirds lens. There's 825, 818 Panasonic, as well as 714, both from Panasonic and Olympus. But I think 9 for me is enough. It's so small, so light. If it's f1.7 compared to all other wide angle options, this is the brightest wide angle prime lens out there, and it is weather sealed. It is weather sealed. So yeah, I love this lens so much. Yeah. Okay. Camille says 1200 f4 isn't a big lens. If we're being honest, it's only big relative to the tiny micro four thirds lenses. I switched from Canon after 20 years specifically for that lens. A small one and done lens for travel. I think it's a great lens. Don't get me wrong. I've spoken positively about the 12-100. I think if you just want one lens to do everything and you want pro level quality, 12-100 is very hard to beat. It has weather sealing, f4 constant aperture, it's super sharp, just an amazing lens. And on top of that, you get 5-axis sync IS, which is a bonus, right? But having said that, f4 is quite limiting for a lot of things I want to do. I shoot a lot in low light, and in a lot of times f2.8 it's not even enough. So I find that f1.8 is just nice. I don't need f1.2. So because of that, f4, I can't work with f4 for more than 50% of the jobs that I need to do to deliver to clients. That's one thing you have to be aware of. If the f4 constant aperture doesn't bother you, if it's bright enough, you shoot with places with plenty of light, you're not shooting fast moving subjects in low light situations, then I think that's an excellent lens. But for me, that is not really worth it. And considering that it is f4 and the lens is not small, it's not small. I would have forgiven it if it's a lot smaller, right? But it is not small for an f4 lens. It's actually quite big. Like if they can make it about the same size as 12 to 40, maybe slightly larger and longer, like 20% larger, then I would have forgiven it. But being so large at f4, I think I understand, like maybe in terms of physics, they can't make it any smaller without compromising image quality. You know, like if you have used the lens, you know how sharp it is, and the image quality is excellent, no question, right? Maybe there's no way to make it even smaller without compromising or sacrificing too much, right? So I understand. But if you love it, I can see why you love it. But to me, it is not enough. Aaron says, tell me you're from an Asian country without telling me you're from an Asian country. The legendary Coke 1.5 liters turned into water bottle. Hey, at least I'm not doing it as a single plastic, right? And it's a problem here. People use single plastic a lot. So whatever I can recycle, I try to do so as much as I can, rather than just drink off the Coke and then just throw away the plastic, right? So we at least make use of it more rather than being thrown away just like that. Yeah. Luzar says, totally agree on the zooms at f2. Olympus had a fine pair for the 4/3 system, folding 35 and 35-100. The new f2.8 is a good start at the longer end. Constant aperture and internal focusing are premium too. Yeah, I wish they bring back the f2 zoom. I think you really love that too, right? Aaron says, what's your setting for bright afternoon sunny day shots, or you use ND filters to reduce stops? No, I only use ND filters if I shoot video. For photographs, it's either, okay, for portrait shots, let's say I'm taking portrait of strangers, it's aperture priority. Let me just go to some examples here. Let's say, where's the portrait shot? Okay, for this shot, aperture priority, brightest aperture if I can. If it's f1.8, I shoot f1.8, and bam, that's it, right? But for shots that require layers like this, like I know I want almost everything sharp. Of course, I'm not going to shoot wide open. I'll still use aperture priority. Maybe I'll stop down to f3.5, f4. Depends if this is quite far away. I'm shooting from across the street. If I'm really near, then I wouldn't hesitate to go f5.6 or f8 to have sufficient depth of field. Right, so shots like this, I want to go wide open. Again, it's aperture priority. I don't have any examples here, but in situations where I want to induce motion, let's say panning, which I've shown a lot as well, panning or some motion blur, this kind of shots, then I'll switch to shutter speed priority, where I really control how much blur I want in a photograph. Or in a situation where it's very fast moving, let's say that I'm shooting tennis recently, right? Tennis shots, then it's shutter speed priority. I force it at 1/2000 of a second just to make sure I have fast enough shutter speeds. And that's it. On lazy days, I use P, program. I almost never use manual. I know, because there's PASM, right? Manual is the one that I use the least. I use manual only when I use flash, and that's when I shoot inside macro. When I shoot inside macro, everything is 100% manual. But for my street photography shots, it's aperture priority, shutter speed priority, or program. When I'm really, really lazy, I don't want to think, the program is like automatic, right? Everything is just automatic. I set ISO to auto, just let the camera run. Maybe I'll just tweak the exposure composition, plus minus, to make sure it's not overexposed or underexposed, and that's it. Let the camera calculate everything else. But most of the time, like, I want blurry background, shallow depth of field, aperture priority. If I want everything in focus, aperture priority. If I want to freeze motion or induce motion, shutter speed priority. Does that make sense? Use the setting that gets the job done. Yeah. David says, Sam Beige looks cool, but I just love the retro black silver look much better. Ah, okay. Always getting complimented on my small EM10. Makes sense, makes sense. I love the black silver look as well, the silver color, yeah. George says, Robin, YouTube ads play over your response to my comment. then maybe you should pay for YouTube Premium. that should solve your problem, right? Jesse says, on idea for a new EP, the construction quality of the EP1, more minimalist, with a 17mm pancake on a box, around 950 euros, a recoil killer. Yeah, they can do that. Just, I don't know why they don't, right? It's just weird. They just don't care. Like, money is there. It's for them to take, and they just don't care about it, right? It just doesn't make sense, yeah. Kamal says, Robin, is the processing speed for handheld high-res shot on the OM5 Mark II as fast as the OM1 Mark II, or does it use a slow processor? It uses a slow processor. I think the OM5 Mark II, I don't even know how fast or how slow it is. OM5 Mark II. Let's see if Google can help us. Handheld high-res shot time. 15 seconds for OM5 Mark II. Let's try OM1 handheld high-res shot. So on OM1 is 5 seconds. So OM1 handheld high-res shot is 5 seconds. OM5 Mark II is 15 seconds. So it's maybe more than twice as fast, I guess, right? But they made some changes though, things that nobody talked about and nobody noticed. The original handheld high-res shot from EM1 Mark III and the EM1X, the camera takes 16 images randomly based on the movement of your hand and combine them into a single image. All right, 16. It has been well documented. I worked for Olympus before. I know. But in the recent ones, the recent cameras that have the handheld high-res shot, instead of 16, it's 12. So I don't know, maybe they figure out 12 images are enough to generate a 50 megapixel shot. And with that, they reduce the time significantly, right? Merging 16 and merging 12 photographs, there is definitely some reduction in time. So yeah. Juliet says, hi Robin, thanks for encouraging us on the 40-150 lens. I pick it back up and it really is nicer than I remember. On my OM3, I think it seems to do a good job. Yeah, congratulations on getting it back. I think the 40-150 is an excellent lens. Underrated, of course, not many people talk about it. And I think it can generate very, very nice results. Super sharp, like really, really sharp. And the only drawback is that, you know, it's f4 to 5.6. It's not exactly like, you know, f2.8. And if you shoot in low light, definitely you'll suffer a little bit because you need to boost up the ISO setting. But other than that, I think it's a fine lens. Like if you shoot in places where you have enough light to work with, that lens can give you really, really good results. Yeah. Gregory says, YouTube Premium is mandatory. Every once in a while, I see YouTube video enough to link. I'm stunned by the ads. No worries. Okay. The Great Vanzini says, I'm guessing an original EM10 or something close. Yeah, definitely. They need an EM10, right? Ho says, I contemplate about Micro Four Thirds f4 constant aperture lens. Well, if f4 doesn't bother you, like, I'm sure if you've been shooting for a while, right? You've been shooting with different f numbers. If f4 doesn't bother you, then go for it. Like, for me, it's not so much of it bothers me. It's just that it's not enough, right? I need f2.8 or brighter, like ideally f1.8 for my low light shooting. I try not to use very high ISO numbers for a lot of reasons that we all already know. And with f4, I just cannot do that, right? But if it doesn't bother you, then why not? Yeah. Yeah, constant f4 Micro Four Thirds seems to fit a daylight only kit. Yeah, and also like you can use it indoor in dim situations as long as you're not dealing with moving subjects. Like if you are just shooting, say, a museum or an art gallery or a plate of noodles, that's fine, right? It's not going to move. Or a cup of coffee, even in a very dim environment, f4 is fine with image stabilization. The problem comes when you need to shoot moving subjects, like a singer or a dancer in a fairly dim environment. You need fast enough shutter speeds, and once you go to 1/200, 1/500, and you look at your ISO numbers, it just jumps to like ISO 6400 or higher. And if you have f1.8, you can stay at ISO 1600 or even ISO 3200 the most, right? That's the big difference, yeah. George says, what's the difference between program and iAuto? Program allows you to change ISO, exposure compensation, and a lot of other things like white balance and all the minor tweaks, right? So basically, in terms of all the program modes, because we still consider shutter speed priority, aperture priority, and manual as program modes, right? It's one of the modes that you have in the camera. All these modes are there for you to have different controls, whether you control or the camera controls, so different varying controls, level of controls on the camera parameters, right? Like aperture priority, you control the aperture, camera controls shutter speed. And shutter speed priority, you control the shutter speed and the camera controls the aperture. Manual, you control everything. Program, the camera controls both shutter speed and aperture. But you still retain the control of ISO, you still retain control of exposure compensation. Whereas in iAuto, everything else the camera controls. Does that make sense? You have not much freedom left. And if you want a little bit more control, let's say you don't care about shutter speed or aperture, but you still want to control the ISO, you still want to control the exposure compensation, then the program will definitely be a better solution. Yeah. George says, how many members do you need to replace the ad revenue? Okay. If members and ad revenue are two completely different things, George, and how do I put this? If the ad bothers you so much, George, why don't you just subscribe to premium? And it's not expensive, right? Like seriously, if the ads bother you so much, please just subscribe to premium. And members is a source, it's like, okay, I do members, I enable membership because I thought like some of you would want to support me. And some of you will think that, hey, Robin is putting a lot of effort and time into making these videos. Maybe let us just support him a little bit so that, you know, all these videos request some resources, right? Like Robin is using his own funds to make these videos. So with a little bit of support from the members, I can use these funds to pay for the entrance ticket to the zoo, to the bird park, or to go to a location that's 1 hour away, some travels and everything. Everything costs money. And every single time I go out and to make a video, it costs money. So with the contribution from the members, it enables me to make more videos for everyone. It has nothing to do with ads. You can choose to support me or not. I'm not forcing anyone to support me. If you feel like you believe in what I do, if you feel like what I've done have benefited you, you've learned something from my videos and sharing, then if you feel like you want to support me, then go for it, right? It's up to you, it's voluntary. If you don't feel like, you know, you want to support me, or maybe you're not in the financial situation to fork out extra cash to spend, that's fine, right? And I still make my content free for everyone to watch, all right? So members has nothing to do with ads. So if you're asking how many members do you need to replace the ad revenue, I don't see how members can replace ad, because both are completely different things. So George, this is not your first time complaining about ads. Like, I have no control over ads. I can only choose to enable and disable, all right? And believe me or not, YouTube pays. YouTube pay me money, right? So if you guys don't pay me money, YouTube pay me money, right? And as much as I would love to make this free for everyone, and as much as I want to take the high road and say, oh, I want this experience great, you guys don't get to see any ads, I don't think that's also possible, because there's also this thing about YouTube, like even when you are not monetized yet, I don't know if you are aware of this, let's say you're a small creator, you have 200 subscribers, and you can't earn anything from YouTube, right? YouTube is not paying you for ads, but YouTube will still put ads on your channel, and they earn money and you earn nothing. So I hope you understand that I put this up there, members, so that whoever wants to support me, you can. There are other ways to support me. It doesn't really matter whether you support me or not. I'll still keep going. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'll make everything free for everyone. That's not going to change. But the ads will be ads, right? It has nothing to do with members. I hope you see that, George. And thanks for that, George. You don't have to if you don't feel like supporting. Like with that money, George, I'd rather that you subscribe to YouTube Premium. You get what I mean? Then you don't have to look at the ads while you're here watching me live. I'm okay with that. If you feel that, I understand to some people ads is very annoying and it's very intrusive, and I have no way to control when the ads is being shown. I can only turn it on and off. But you know, I appreciate your support. Don't get me wrong, George, but if you feel that the ads are bothering you, then maybe, you know, like use this money to subscribe to YouTube Premium. I think it's probably going to cost you about the same amount of money. So yeah. All right, let's see. Juliet says, I was a minute away from cancelling YouTube Premium until I did the math. 45 cents a day. I spend 10 times as much on coffee. Yeah, I mean, YouTube Premium is between you and YouTube, right? You're just paying YouTube so that they don't show you ads. It has nothing to do with the creator, right? So the membership is more like you're supporting the creator. And I appreciate every single support that you guys have given me. But with and without support, I will continue to make videos and share as much as I can with everyone. And this is not something that I will stop anytime soon. I appreciate you guys being here, members or not members, doesn't really matter. The fact that you guys are here, it makes me very, very happy. So yeah. All right, let's get back to the other chats. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. The Great Vanzini says, the new Canon R6 Mark III just came out. I'm too scared to look at the price. 2799, not too ridiculous considering 33 megapixels, really great autofocus, a really good workhorse if you look at what the camera can do. Decent burst rate, not as fast as OM1, but decent enough for any kind of photography. Improved image stabilization, weather sealing. Overall, really good camera if you ask me, and the price is justified considering that we have inflation, tariffs, and everything going on. Like, it's 2799, yeah. Jesus says, what is your go-to lens, Robin? I use the lens for that particular situation. There's no go-to lens. If I'm shooting macro, I'm using the 60 f2.8, right? If I'm shooting interiors and architecture, then I use the Panasonic 9 f1.7. If I'm doing this live stream, it's the Panasonic 15 1.7. When I'm doing my street photography, I prefer to use the 50 equivalent, so it's 25 1.8 most of the time, depending on what cameras I'm using or what lens, what setup. And yeah, there's no fixed lens. Like if I'm shooting, let's say I'm going to the zoo and shoot some animal, or if I'm going to safari, definitely I'm going to bring something longer, like 75, 300, whatever. Like there is no such thing as a go-to lens. There's only a thing about using the right tool for the right job. Like I can't shoot macro shots with my Olympus 45 f1.8, although I love using that lens. And the 45 1.8 has been the lens I used to shoot a lot portraits, events, stage, right? I love that lens, but I can't just suddenly just mount it on my camera and start taking shots of insects. So there really isn't any go-to lens here. It's more like finding the right lens for the right job. You get what I mean? Right. Super Genki says, hi Robin. A million thanks for all your quality content. Thank you so much for saying that. It has helped me incredibly much now after I switched from Sony to OM system. Your excitement and positive spirit regarding Micro Four Thirds is contagious. Thank you so much. And welcome to the family or community. Welcome to Micro Four Thirds. I hope you enjoy your OM system. What did you buy? OM3? OM1? Yeah. The Great Vanzini says, YouTube Premium is the only subscription I have for anything. Best deal ever. Yeah, I don't think it's that expensive, right? Like if you really, really hate ads, then yeah, go for YouTube Premium. I don't think it's a bad thing. Tomato says, if you watch a lot of YouTube, it's worth to get the premium. Nowadays, you get a million ads for a short video. Yeah, I guess YouTube just wants to earn money, right? Why not? They're making money out of it. You watch too much YouTube. Can't imagine how many hours of ads I've had to sit through without premium. No worries. Yeah, just get the premium and you're fine, right? Yeah. All right, the Great Vanzini says, plus with YouTube Premium, you get some extra free music and movies. That's awesome. Open gate. WSS the OG says, it's hard to process that there is less than 2 months left in 2025. I don't know what kind of resources OM system actually has for R&D. I personally don't think they have done enough this year. Ah, okay. If they have not done enough this year, then what else they could have done or what things they could have done better. Maybe you can share your thoughts. Yep, we still have some time here and I've caught up with the chat already. Ha! Then let me drink some water to stay hydrated. There's the rumored Sony A7 Mark V coming, I think, by end of this year. I don't know, maybe this month or something. And then there's another rumor of DJI Action 6 coming as well this month. Some exciting products. Let me drink some coffee. Still have some coffee left. Also, Sam Noop says, I'm very tempted to upgrade my 17 1.8 to the Mark II. Thinking of getting a 25 1.8 Mark II first when I'm in China since it's a lot cheaper. Is it? It's cheaper in China? Hey, I have no idea about that. Well, I don't understand. Let me just reveal something. This is not a secret. I don't know if it's still the same now. When I worked for Olympus, it was the time when they cancelled or they shifted from international warranty to local warranty. Olympus was not the first to do this. I think it was Canon and Nikon. They switched from international warranty to local warranty. And the reason they do that is to prevent grey imports, or they don't extend that same warranty privilege to people who buy the camera from outside of the country, right? It's fair, just to protect the businesses within the country itself, right? If everyone buys cameras from other countries that sell cheaper based on the exchange rates and other geographical reasons, then how is the business center in that specific country is going to survive, right? So one of the ways to prevent this is to change the warranty policy. Instead of having international warranty, wherever you buy a camera from, you get warranty support. You only support locally bought cameras and business. When that happened, let's say that you are from the States and you bought your camera from, let's say, from Italy, for example, and then you come to Malaysia and your camera breaks down. And if you go to Malaysian service center, then you can't get any special treatment. You have to pay for warranty, right? The warranty doesn't cover you buying a product from Italy. But this rule has one exception. Only for China customers. I don't know why. Like, I asked my boss, I don't get any good answers. So when China customers come and buy products from Malaysia, right? Let's say they come to Malaysia and buy an Olympus EM1 and a 40 to 150 lens, they will be given a special warranty card. And that warranty card is not an international warranty. They can't use it everywhere else. But that warranty card is valid in Malaysia because they bought those cameras and lenses in Malaysia. So if anything happens in Malaysia, they can utilize Malaysian warranty support. And when they bring those cameras back to China, the cameras and lenses, with that same special warranty card, that privilege also extends all the way to China. Of all the countries in the world, only China has that privilege. And this is true for Olympus. I don't know whether it's true for Canon, Nikon, or Sony or any other brands, because I only work for Olympus. I know this is true, and it baffles me because, like, wow, why are they treated so special? Like, why they come here and they get special treatment, whereas people from other countries, they don't get such treatment? You know, it's like they have two countries warranty when they buy products from Malaysia. Malaysian warranty and China warranty, which is weird, right? Whereas Malaysians, if we go to China, we buy products from there, we bring it back to Malaysia, we don't have that privilege. So anyway, just want to talk about all this weird thing that's happening in China. So yeah, coming back to this comment, I don't know if it's like I believe you, since you said it, there's no reason for me to doubt you that the products are cheaper in China. But why? Why are they cheaper, right? Tomato says, on the topic of OM system, I think they've done enough to survive, but more megapixels would have been nice. Since they've stayed with 20 megapixels for so long, people will probably buy used until they upgrade megapixels. That is true. It's due that they upgrade some resolution. I think we need them. Zimi says, the OM3 looks very nice. I just need some old SLR OM2 and OM1, and OM3 is a reminder of them. Yeah, I've said this already. I think the OM3 is like one of the best looking cameras out there, and really love the look. Super Genki says, I sold my A7 Mark II and got an OM5 Mark II, and I absolutely love it. Yeah, oh, that's awesome. A7 Mark II is quite old already, I think. It's more than 10 years old. I don't know why this light dropped, lost balance. There it is. Vapagamoga says, out of topic, how come the S mode on my final shots are much darker than I see on my LCD? How do I explain this? Okay. When you shoot in shutter speed priority mode, all right, the camera will not simulate the shutter speed that you have set. The camera will simulate the exposure value that you have set because it's a semi-automatic mode, right? So there are two things you can control: the exposure compensation and the shutter speed. Let's say that in this room, this is fairly dark, okay? And I set my exposure value to 0. I didn't change the exposure compensation, right? Just 0. But I set my shutter speed to 1/8,000 of a second. What will happen? At ISO, even at ISO 800 or 1600, if my shutter speed is 1800, this room, this shot I'm taking in this room will be completely dark, right? It's underexposed. But the camera does not simulate the shutter speed. The camera simulates the exposure value. When you set it to 0, it shows that it's bright because it's 0. But the shutter speed fails to keep up with that simulation when you take the photograph. And this is shown to you as a warning. Like, what camera do you have, Vapagamoka? Like, whether it's a Pen or OMD, whatever camera. Try again now in your room. Go to shutter speed priority. Set to 1/2000, 1/4000, ISO 200, right? And the exposure value set to 0. It will show, it will blink. There will be a warning telling you that your shutter speed is not enough. There is a warning there. It's blinking. It's very hard to miss. If you ignore the warning, if you ignore the blinking, that is when you get a black image. You get what I mean? And it's either the camera simulates the shutter speed value or the camera simulates the exposure compensation value. In this case, in all the cameras, not just Olympus, Nikon, Canon, Sony, Fuji, whatever, they will always simulate the exposure value. And they will give you a warning if your aperture and shutter speed cannot keep up. Does that make sense? It's not a mystery to me. I understand how it works, and I've never had any issue with my exposure. And I know if I need very, very fast shutter speeds, I need to increase my ISO until the exposure, the value doesn't blink anymore. It doesn't give you any warning anymore, all right? Okay. WSSDOG says, unless I'm forgetting, we got a new camera body with the same internals and one actually quite nice lens. No improvements in sensor tech, for example, is puzzling. I don't think there'll be any improvement in sensor tech unless it's the flagship camera. It's only fair that they'll put in whatever new sensor in the next successor of the OM1, say the OM1 Mark III. I think it's also quite impossible, or it's a little bit ridiculous to expect OM Digital Solutions to put in a better sensor in the OM3 or OM5 Mark II. Then who's going to buy the OM1 Mark II? It doesn't make sense, right? So I hope maybe next year they will come out with the OM1 Mark III, and I hope that this is a time where they give us a new sensor with better dynamic range, high ISO, and maybe a huge improvement of resolution count, pixel count, right? Yeah. Yep, $30.99. So there you go. I don't think it's ridiculous, right? I think it's fair. Google wants to earn money from ads, and if you don't want to see ads, then you just pay a subscription fee, right? So yeah. R Friday says, how do you feel about AI in photography? I feel horrible. No AI, please. Camille says, I think OM did well. We got the OM3, a beautiful and awesome camera, just overpriced. OM5 Mark II, just also overpriced. The 5200 is fairly priced. That's great. Ho says, in my opinion, OM system did a lot this year, released a new design camera since the inception, which is the OM3, refreshes the OM5. Also released small prime refresh. Developing new product is expensive. I think they're doing okay. They're doing okay, though I've mentioned the 3 things that could have improved, right? They could have given us more firmware upgrades, they could have done marketing differently, and they could have given us more affordable, lower level cameras like the EM10 series or the EPL series. Yeah. Zimi says, I think my G9 Mark II has too much megapixels. It's really bad in low light and even mid ISO. Really? Okay, I've never used the G9 Mark II, so... And the myth about having more megapixels giving you worse photographs in low light is false. That is just a myth. And again, it's proven that like Sony, when they have higher megapixel camera, like 60 megapixels, if you compare with the old 24 megapixel sensor, the 60 megapixels camera wins. And you compare like A7R Mark V compared to the A7 Mark IV, which has 32, 33 megapixels, the 60 megapixels win, the double megapixels. If you compare Nikon Z8, Z9 versus the older cameras, also the more megapixels, the 45 megapixels, the resolution, it has better dynamic range and high ISO. This has been proven in photons to photon sight, DxO sight, all the sites with the chart, you can read it. Even Canon R5 Mark II has better dynamic range and high ISO compared to R6, which has 20 megapixels, like dynamic range and high ISO is better. So the fact that you said, hey, I think the camera has too many megapixels, it has poor ISO performance in low light, that is not true. That is not true. Yeah. Also, Sam Noob says, I have the OM3 with the 71.8 and feels like it's a waste without the weather sealing. Yeah, then get the one with weather sealing, the 71.8 with weather sealing. Yeah. BCRT says, hi, something not related. I actually attended the Ricoh GR4 Penang event. I enjoyed it overall. Just a bit nervous to talk to you in person. Thank you and Futuramic to make it happen. Aw. Thanks for attending the event in Penang. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you being here, and hello to you again. And why are you being so nervous talking to me? I don't think I'm a horrible person. I don't think I am unfriendly. Why are you nervous? I'm just a regular guy that loves photography like you and everyone else here. So yeah, next time just come and say hi. No, don't worry about it. Yeah. WSS Theology says, it does seem to me that with bodies, OM system has simply been doing superficial changes, but no internal improvements to electronic and sensors. Okay, I understand. And hopefully that will change with the OM1 Mark III next year. Yeah. Kurger says, pay annually for $12 per month. Don't ask me to build any bridges for you. No worries. G9 Mark II and G7 are dual ISO sensors. They have normally good low light as is odd. Check what ISO settings you have enabled. You may have something turned off. Okay. But then again, like if you check out Photons on Photos website, the Panasonic camera bodies always have worse ISO performance compared to the Olympus or OM system bodies. I don't know why, although those could be the same sensors, but they always perform worse compared to Olympus or OM system, which is very strange. Vibogaboga says, thanks, using EM10 and EM1 Mark II, I thought my cameras was busted on shutter speed priority mode. Have you tried it? You can bring your camera up now, turn it on and set it to shutter speed priority. There is a blinking there. When there's a blinking, it means that it's not enough. You need to do something to compensate for the inadequacy of light, whether it's you use flash or you add increase the ISO number or something, right? You have to do something with that. Yeah. David says, I live in Mexico and Olympus OM system left the country years ago, so I don't have warranty nor product support. I haven't had any problems with my camera and lenses. I keep buying their products. Yeah, and there are many countries that do not have official OM system Olympus support. Like even within Southeast Asia, like Indonesia doesn't have official support. Philippines doesn't have official support. I think there are many countries that don't have the official support. And Malaysia is one of the places where we do have an actual service center here in Malaysia, Singapore as well, Thailand as well. So yeah, Tom says OM's new 5200 is same size, much more expensive, and equivalent noise performance that I'll feel. Lens does not affect noise performance. In terms of depth of field, Sony's 100 to 400, I don't get it. But then again, the Sony 100 to 400, it's not an f2.8 constant, right? Like if you understand how optics work, to make an f2.8 constant, it's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah, it costs a lot of money to make it work. And the 100 to 400 Sony is not f2.8. So the fact that it's f2.8 constant makes it more expensive. Yeah. Trev says, Robin, your voice sounds like you need to stay better hydrated. Yeah. Hey, try talking 2 hours non-stop and I want to listen to how your voice sounds like. The Red Vanzini says, it's interesting that my OM5 Mark II underexposes about half a stop compared to my original OM5. No big deal. Really? OM5 Mark II. I don't remember my OM5 underexposing my shots, though when I tested them. My exposure was fine. Like, my setting was fine. But then again, like, when I see some underexposure when I'm shooting, I'll just quickly change my settings. Like, if I'm shooting in aperture parity, I'll just change it, the exposure compensation, right? So, yeah. Juliet says, until there's my perfect street camera, I'll use the GM5 and Panasonic 15 1.7 and 25 1.4 and my OM3 and various lenses for everything else. I do wish for a rangefinder with a tilt screen though. Yeah, hopefully Panasonic and OM system will make something like this happen, right? I think 2026, hopefully Panasonic, come on. You have done nothing in 2025, Panasonic. 2026, please give us some nice rangefinder style cameras, right? And maybe some new lenses, small pancake lenses to go with it, or even the updated 20 f1.7 pancake with faster autofocus. That would be amazing. Simon says, OM3 looks great, but everyone praising my silver EM10 Mark IV took it as a third camera to a wedding and it did really well. Its simplicity is the biggest plus, and real life honestly surprised me. Yeah, I think Olympus cameras battery life is fine. I've never had any issues using Olympus with the battery, so yeah. Vabagamuka says, yes, just tried it. Didn't realize the blinking was a warning. We'll be more observant with it. Yeah, you need something flashing red, right? Underexposed, 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 right? All right, time check. It is already midnight here in Malaysia, and I've caught up with the chat. I think I'll put a pause here, put a stop here actually. I will call it a night because I do have an early morning tomorrow. I have an early morning shoot. So yeah, thank you so much for staying with me. Thanks for the conversation. I've had so much fun hearing your thoughts. I wish that you experienced the same as well. Thanks for sharing what you thought about OM system, if they've done enough, or what you wish they've done better this year in 2025. I only hope that they do better in 2026, maybe new products, new flagship, OM1 Mark III, a new sensor, hopefully, better autofocus, hopefully, and yeah, more firmware updates. Like, come on, where are those firmware updates, right? And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed looking at the photographs, and yeah, until the next one, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye!